Hey guys, today I want to talk about the one thing, actually I'm going to cover more than one, but one biggest thing that people forget in their budgets. Okay, they always forget this in their budgets. Always, always, always. 99% of the people do not figure for this in their budget. Okay, and what it is forex fluctuations. Granted, right now we're on a high, 59 to 1, or right around there. Okay, and 59 to 1 is great for us over here, but there's going to come a time when it's like 45 to 1 or 40 to 1 or 39 to 1. You know, things change over time, and for people that are planning on living over here for 20 years before they pass away or whatever, most people that come over here, they're retirees, they retire 55, you might be here for 30 years. You're going to go through forex exchange rate changes, and they're gonna hurt you, okay? They can hurt you bad. Right now, people that are coming over here that think that they can live off 1,000 because of the current rate or whatever, you might be surprised in another year or 3 years or whatever when that rate changes and you're only getting 45 or 49 or 47. You know, and we've all been there before. We've been in lower rates, and it hurts during those times because, you know, your money, it doesn't go as far. Now when you're at that 55 magic number, which 55 is usually the magic number, that's where it's a good place to be. 55, 54, 53, that's a good place to be. When it starts getting lofty, that's when you got to start worrying because these things can happen almost overnight, these fluctuations, and you wake up in the morning or a week later or something like that, and you go to look at the forex and you're like, wow, it's 47. It's 49 or something like that. It could be anything. And with the world being in chaos like it is right now, I'm going to tell you, I'd be worried at any given time, and I'd be prepared for it. And make sure you pad your budgets enough that you can cover at least a 30% change. In other words, all the way down to 40, I would say, just to be safe. You want to make sure that you're safe here, and that's the biggest thing. The other thing is medical. A lot of guys think, oh, well, Steve, why do you want to save money? Saving's not part of a budget. It should be a part of your budget. Some people say, well, I don't consider that a part of my budget. Savings should be a part of your budget. You put it in there with whatever your income is. You should break that down into a budget, even if part of it is for saving or whatever, so you know where that money's going. Otherwise, you have a tendency to spend anything over and above your budget. Sometimes you say, well, you know what? I get an extra $500. I'm going to go spend it on this here or something like that. Or I'm going to go to Boracay this weekend, you know, or something. You know, that's what you tend to do with it. I mean, let's face it. A lot of guys that live over here, you see them blowing money like crazy, and that's what they do. They spend their excess on things like that. Well, you need to think about the future, okay? We see people here all the time, that are in the hospital, stuck in a hospital because they can't pay their medical bills. This is why I say, you know, you need to be on the higher budgets, 1,500 and above, and some of that should be allotted to savings. Some of it should be allotted to savings because later on when money goes down and the forex changes, you got extra money put aside for then, for when the money goes down and you need that extra cash to kind of buffer those ups and downs. So you want to have some sort of money set aside for that, and you can kind of figure out that happy medium, how much you want to put in there. I tell people, I would think, you know, you should put away $300 to $500 a month. I would think for emergencies and for that buffer. When you need when the forex goes way down, you know, and you're only getting 40 to 1 or 50 to 1 or what. I'm sorry for the screaming, guys. We got a kid down below screaming. But anyway, you know, you want to be able to be able to be safe and stuff like that. A lot of guys, they hit me on my budgets and say, Steve, you can survive here on 500 or 800. Those are the people that fail. Guaranteed, those people will be home within 10 years. I can guarantee you that they'll be home in 10 years because you know what? Those are the people that fail. And if they're not home within 10 years, at some point, something's going to happen in their life. They're going to get sick, or the forex is going to change drastically, and they're going to find themselves screwed, really, really royally too. You know, and a lot of these people don't have any emergency funds. Now's your time to change that if you can, and start putting money away for emergency fund if you don't have one and you're living over here already. But if you're coming here, make sure you come with your emergency fund and make sure you have a buffer in your budget so that you can buffer for those Emergencies, number one, medical emergencies, and we talk about this numerous occasions, but also for that currency change. That currency change is going to be huge for you later on, because you know what? When it goes down to 40 and you're saying, geez, I thought it was always going to stay at 60 or 55 or something like that, and all of a sudden it jumped down to 40. What do you do then? You know, you have to take some of that money out, but make sure you leave some in there for medical emergencies, and also you start making some cuts. Wherever you can make cuts, start making cuts so that you can kind of buffer that, so you don't have to take as much out of that fund that you've been making. And let me tell you something, you need that fund. There's a lot of guys out there that say, well, Steve, you really don't need that. You know, look at me, I've lived here for 10 years and 800. That guy's been extremely lucky. Some of these guys are extremely lucky, and sometimes luck doesn't hold out, as most of us know. It doesn't hold out forever. If sooner or later, as you age, you're gonna get sick. It's gonna happen. You know, either you're gonna get sick, you're gonna get a stroke, you're gonna have a heart attack, you're gonna have something happen that's really tragic, and are you gonna have enough money to cover that? Are you gonna have insurance? That's the other thing you want to make sure, and we always go into that, but this here video is not about that, but I always want to push on that insurance. You need to have at least some sort of insurance, like Pacific Cross, select a cheaper healthcare plan, and have some emergency fund set aside so that at least you can get taken care of stroke, heart attack, cancer, or whatever. And you know, a lot of guys also keep their Medicare, but they plan on staying here forever, and then they get a plan over here, a healthcare plan over here that covers them already. Get rid of that Medicare if you're not going to go back. If you're never going to go back, just figure that's $170 in your pocket or whatever it costs that you can use towards this buffer that I'm talking about, that extra money in your budget. That's why my budgets are a little bit higher than most other people out there, because most of these other vloggers out there, they're not being truthful on everything. They're not telling you about the forex exchanges and stuff like that. It bounces up and down, and I think that is dangerous, telling people that you can stick by a budget for like $1,000 or $800 or something like that. You really need that $1,500 minimum because of the fact of the forex exchanges, and that's living like crap, because you want to save probably 500 of that. You want to save 500 if you can. That's why I put that in there, because that is a good safety, and also it can kind of buffer your inflation and stuff like that. That's living minimal. That's not living good. That's not living good, because you're living on 1,000 still, but you're throwing that 500 aside for the future or whatever, you know, or 300 or whatever it may be, whatever your decision is. But also you want to make sure, if you can come over here, try to get into that sweet spot budget that I talked about so many times, you know, the 2,000 to 3,000 or up, and that's like the super sweet spot. If you're above 3,000 here, you're in a really super sweet spot. You're in a really good place. I see guys over here on 3,000, 2,500. They get a $500 place in a gated community, and they live like kings, you know. But when that forex, you know, starts playing around there, that $500 can you know, be dangerous, because that 2,000 all of a sudden is, you know, that's left over is worth less if they're living on 2,500, you know, or whatever. So you have to have buffers. Live safe. That's why I like living small here, because it gives me room to kind of breathe a little bit, to be able to have extra money in my pocket. I rather have that extra money in my pocket rather than live large. Later on, when the time comes and my girlfriend's daughter isn't going to college, yeah, I'll probably move someplace, but I plan on living here for a while. But as my back gets worse and my legs start to fail, and you know, things start happening, and as you age, of course I want to be in a better place where I have a pool, I'm closer to things, or maybe I live in a gated community or whatever. Of course I want to do something like that. I mean, who wouldn't? You know, but right now is not the time for me. It's not the time. Now's the time for me to save, put some money aside for emergencies, things like that, because I'm still healthy. I'm still kind of semi-young. I'm about to be 60, but I consider myself in pretty decent health. You know, I mean, I do have back problems and I do have some other issues, but I mean, besides that, I'm pretty healthy, you know, so I don't worry too much, you know, but I do make sure that I have health insurance. I make sure I have an emergency fund, and I make sure I have that buffer. God bless, guys. Take care. Remember, always overcompensate in your budgets. You know, if it costs $20 to do your laundry each month, put 25 in there. You know, because things go up in price sometimes during the year or whatever. And then if there's anything left over, you got a little bit of money to go buy a coffee at Starbucks, or go to McDonald's, or go to S&R Pizza and getting a pizza or something like that. You know, that's what it's all about, guys. We're retired. You know, a lot of guys that are on this race to try to live the cheapest, who the hell wants to live like that when you're retired? You'd be insane to live like that. I want to live a decent life. And I did every damn thing I could possibly do in my last 5 years to pay off my debts, to make sure that I had everything planned, everything done, everything I needed ready. All my ducks were in a row before I came here. And I wasn't going to come here until I had all my ducks in a row. I made sure my checkoff sheet was all checked off when I left. When I left, everything that I planned was done. It was done. It was completed. You know, we are going to do a checkoff sheet. We're working on that. Me and Justin are going to be working on that. And I'm going to try to see if I can find one of my old checkoff sheets so I can go through that. I'm not sure if I still have it. I used to have it. If I still have it, I'm going to go off of that. And then I can add a few things to that too, guys. So God bless. Take care. And be sure to have that buffer, guys. God bless. Take care.